Kevin. Sorry.
Hello. So have you guys ever felt that other people's lives were easier than your own? That other people were getting things handed to them while you had to spend all your effort and time to achieve the same thing?
Yes.
So because of our unequal system of education, many people do not have the same opportunities in the education system merely because of who they are. We need to ensure that everyone has equal rights in the education system by forcing the integration of schools by race and socioeconomic status. Much of research on education today shows that the education system is just as segregated as it was in 1968, at the time before schools integration was taken seriously. Because I am a student of color and at a majority minority school, I extensively researched this topic to see how it could affect me. So the forced integration of schools is the only way to ensure equal opportunities throughout the racial and economic spectrums, because using more passive methods will only allow those in power to develop a new means of incorporating de facto segregation. So, the problem here is that Black and Hispanic students are not only more likely to be living in areas of concentrated poverty, it's also concentrated poverty areas are areas where almost everyone is poor. And then because of the way our education system is funded, this causes major inequalities in the way students are taught. For example, if you live in a rich neighborhood, you're probably going to be there's probably going to be more white people in your area, rather than if you were living in a poor neighborhood, which is probably going to have more minorities. And if you go to live in a rich neighborhood, you're more likely to have better schools because the education system is funded through property taxes of the city. Like if you live in Dayton, you'll have like less property taxes going to the schools rather than if you live in Oakwood, where they have a lot of property taxes coming in. The Ohio court ruled it as unconstitutional, but no step has ever been taken to actually enforce this. So, children are at risk of developing stereotypes about racial groups if they live and are educated in racially isolated settings. By contrast, when school settings include students from multiple racial groups, students become more comfortable with people of other races, which leads to a dramatic decrease in discriminatory attitudes and prejudices. And many of you here are a racial or an economic minority, and know what it feels as if the whole world is against you. Like, you think that no opportunities are coming your way, that only the rich people get the opportunities while you just sit there and get nothing. And if we integrate schools, more and more students will have access to the same opportunities, allowing them to maximize their potential and bring the best that they can to the world. And also, the percent of Black students at majority white schools is lower than ever. And because of this, the government now has an effective way to discriminate against people of color and people from disadvantaged economic backgrounds. So, though all of this is not without a solution, to solve the problem of inequalities, local schools districts can begin to work with one another so that they can have students from one district attend schools of another district and have students of that district attend schools of this district. And also, the federal government can start combining the property taxes and then evenly distributing them among schools in the state. For example, the federal government would take money from Oakwood, would take money from Dayton, money from all the cities in Ohio, and combine the property taxes and then evenly distribute them throughout the cities and the schools there, because that is the only way that schools can be funded equally. And also, this may seem like a solution that you can't really join the effort for, but there are many things you can do to propel it. If more schools advocated for literacy programs, all students would become much more successful in schools. This is not only about reading and writing, but it's also about math, science, and of course, being educated about society. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, people can look to a successful attempt of integrating schools and shrinking the achievement gaps because of their heavy focus on literacy, and we should think about doing that as well. Many people believe that integration and assimilation are synonymous, but to integrate is not losing your culture, but rather to coexist with other cultures. As Martin Luther King stated, integration is the eradication of artificial barriers to communication and the formation of interrelationships that would both facilitate Black equality and allow everyone to appreciate a common, shared humanity. And you as well can help this cause. So this graph right here is a statistic from the ACLU, the National Center for Education Statistics. It shows right here that in 2010, the percent of Black students in majority white schools was the same as it was in 1968. And right here, it shows that Black students are most likely to be living in areas of concentrated poverty. Like Black students have a 45% chance of living in those areas, and Hispanics are second most, no, not Hispanics. American Indians are second most, where 39%. And whites, of course, have the lowest percent of concentrated poverty, only at 12%. Okay, and so depending on topics, if schools are successfully integrated, people can see the achievement gaps across racial and economic spectrums effectively shrink. In the 1980s, integration efforts were taken seriously by the government and school districts, and because of it, Black students who attended integrated schools earned 25% more in salary than Black students who never had the chance to do so. And though this also may still seem as if you can't do anything, you actually can. Forcing school integration is the only way that people across racial and economic spectrums can be equal. This has been proven, and many school districts do not want to do it because they believe that it will negatively impact them, but it actually does the opposite. School integration is beneficial not only for Black students, but also for all students. Students in integrated schools perform a lot better on standardized tests than those in segregated schools. So go out there and talk to the people about problems about with our system, because the first step to solving any problem is being aware of it. And I want you now to congratulate you for being aware of it. And so I want to leave you off with a closing statement, and this is: equality cannot be achieved until people take actions to fulfill it and stop putting the blame on others.